This young man, the absolute most they can be deprived of at this point in time, if he slips up in the next 6 months, will be a total of 9 months of his life has been deprived of. Arran's been deprived of potentially 6.
Simon Barr is serving a life sentence. His son Arran is dead. On the 3rd of March 2006, the 16-year-old was punched in the face by a teenage thug at Whitford's train station. It was someone he knew, but wasn't a mate.
The morning that this happened, the last time I spoke to my son, the conversation we had wasn't a very pleasant one. It was, it wasn't a fight or anything, but it was the words were 90-odd% of the words in that conversation were from me were words of discipline. To bear the burden of knowing that the last conversation you had with your son was in circumstances like that, you know.
The force of that blow tore an artery at the base of Arran's skull. He laid in a coma on life support for almost 3 months.
When it came time to disconnect his life support, I insisted that I be the one to do it, not through any act of bravado or anything else. It just seemed to me that it was the first opportunity. Sorry. It was the first opportunity I'd had in the whole time he spent in hospital to do anything for him at all.
WA's courts forced the media to hide the identity of Arran's attacker because he was 16 when he lashed out at Arran, angry that someone had stolen his wallet. Arran was trying to help. He was trying to calm him down. Last year, a jury found him not guilty of manslaughter and assault occasioning grievous bodily harm. But he was convicted on the lesser charge of assault occasioning bodily harm. The longest he could serve in jail would be 5 years.
The judge today described it as a brutal, forceful and unjustified attack.
What the jury didn't hear was that 2 years before Arran was attacked, the teenage thug had already bashed 2 boys aged 14 and 15. He was serving a supervisory order when he attacked Arran, and he was out on bail over Arran's attack. Then he went on to commit more offences, including burglary, criminal damage and drink driving.
The judge described this young man as a ticking time bomb who was a real danger to the community and deserved to be locked up.
But Judge Philip McCann released him on a pre-sentence order, warning if he did the slightest thing wrong, he would be locked up. He survived the 12 months without committing an offence, and today, aged 19, he was released and is a free man. Judge Philip McCann said imprisonment now would be a massive step backwards and not in the community's interests. Then he quoted Winston Churchill saying, "Now this is not the end, it's not the beginning of the end, but perhaps it's the end of the beginning."
I'm deeply sorry for what I have done. I know it'll be hard for you. It is extremely hard for you, and I'm sorry.
Are you angry Arran's attacker has walked free?
Disgusted. How anybody can take a life, a human life, and not be made to accept some responsibility for it and pay for it in some way is just beyond me. We don't have a justice department in this state. I have come to that conclusion. We have a department of what I call Department of Legalities that is heavily influenced and administered by academics, lawyers and politicians, all of whom have lost touch with reality. Totally.
Simon's glad the one-punch legislation has been introduced in WA, but he says people deserve to know if there are violent teenage criminals in their community.
Surely it makes sense that if someone chooses to commit a criminal act, then they should be held accountable for all the repercussions that flow on from that criminal act, particularly in acts of violence and particularly when someone loses their life.
Simon is suffering more than a broken heart. Since Arran's death, he's had 2 heart attacks and had a defibrillator installed in his chest. Has it gotten bad enough that you consider suicide?
Oh yeah, I've thought of it. Yeah. Well, This is what I'm having trouble with now. While I acknowledge, I'm quite willing to acknowledge that yes, I've thought of it. Because I feel so helpless. I feel like I've let my son down. I'm not at all comfortable with that.
What were your hopes for Arran's future? What do you think his life would be like?
He had a good future. Sorry. I strongly believe that once Arran went through the changing process of turning from a teenager into a young adult and a mature adult, Arran would have had a good life ahead of him.
Do you forgive Arran's attacker?
And at no stage has that young man or his family or any member of his family, either directly or indirectly through a lawyer or through letters or anything else, approached me in any way, showing any understanding for what I'm going through. So to answer your question now, do I forgive him? Never in a month of Sundays. Never. And while he'd made a terrible mistake, he didn't deserve to be strung up for it. He was a young man who could possibly at some stage in the future contribute in a positive way into society. But then I believed in justice, and I haven't got any.